Welcome back. Our panel's back with us. Yesterday we talked about how to reduce busyness in our lives. Today we want to talk about how to establish a Sabbath rhythm. How do we take a Sabbath day or a Sabbath half day? How do we do that once a week? Because it's not part of our normal culture. So I want to talk with the panel today about that. And the first question I have for you is, when we talk about the Old Testament word from which we get the name Sabbath, that word means to stop or to cease. So how do you stop, or how do you struggle with stopping in your life so that you can have some Sabbath time? How do you do it? How do you struggle with it?
Well, I struggle with stopping when I feel like people depend on me, or I'm the last resort. Also being a single person and having that availability that's expected upon me, trying to fill that need. And it's very hard to remind myself that ultimately God's in control and I can't be a superwoman and save everything. Mm-hmm. That's definitely where I struggle with it.
It's a struggle, yeah, good.
That's key, is to realize that God is in control.
Absolutely.
We don't need to keep striving.
Stopping for us really has a lot to do with communicating, just talking about it, whether it be just with each other or with our kids, or because again, it comes back kind of the expectation of, oh, we've been doing this, so we need to continue to do this, or this has always been, or whatever it is. And so just going, hey, wait a minute, as we talk through this, and we go, well, actually, that's not really feeding either one of us, or it's not really good for our kids, or we just have more important things to do. So then talking through with them, for example, saying, hey, you know what, I know that we've been doing this, but we're actually gonna have to take a break from that right now because of whatever reason. Then it doesn't become a disappointment. Then it becomes, okay, well, we've discussed this and we're on the same page. And so that really helps.
Years ago, I learned, because there's always more work to do. I don't care who you are or what you do, there's always more to do. And I learned that I simply had to get up from my desk, turn the light off, and close the door. Mm-hmm. How have you done that in your life where you, I don't know, close the laundry room door and or where you've actually just said, done, stop until tomorrow? Are there any specifics you can think of?
Well, I think for us on Sunday, we just know that the house is probably going to be a mess. The laundry is not going to get done. I mean, maybe Sunday night, if we have something Monday, I'll throw a load in or something like that. It's not like we have strict rules, but it's just not a day to produce a clean house or to really even keep up on the dishes. And if they get done, great. And just to be really flexible with the house and kind of let the kids go get a yogurt if they want to, or, it doesn't have to be.
Great example of stopping.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to put up with whatever the consequences of that are.
Because they are there. Yeah.
And there's times when I can look at her, she can look at me, and we can just say, all right, we're done. I can see you've had a long day. It's been a long day at work, whatever. Or there's times when she can, look at me or vice versa, and I can just say, I'm done. I'm just, and it's like, it's okay. And that's that permission of just going, you know what? Yeah, everything else can wait. It's okay. Yeah. It'll be here tomorrow.
Good. Stopping. Just stopping.
Yeah.
Let me ask Justin and Shauna, how do you do Sabbath? You got 7 kids, you got a nephew living with you, the house is busy, there's a lot of activity. How do you stop and take a Sabbath time? What's that look like, very practically for you?
You're assuming the house is busy.
I'm assuming the house is busy.
You're assuming right, yeah. Like Shauna mentioned, Sundays, for a long time, since they were little, really it kind of started with nap time on Sundays. And it was kind of the time we could wind down. Well, that really just became part of our culture around our house, is Sunday afternoon, after church, we get home, and it's time to just lay low. And that means it's quiet, and we're not producing anything. No homework, no work around the house, no, like Sean said, no laundry, no anything. If you're hungry, there's probably leftovers or, something simple. But it's just making sure that time is quiet, and it can be vegging out, watching something as a family, playing a game, laying down, taking a nap.
Sure.
So we've made that our time, and for as long as I can remember now.
Yeah. And we
Sunday
say no to
afternoons.
play dates and things like that because a lot of that comes on Sunday, and we're like, no, that's just kind of already filled up with that.
Another example of stopping. You,
Yeah.
you say no to things. You,
Yes.
you eliminate that.
Yeah, we have to be pretty purposeful with that part of it because
Absolutely.
there's always more fun to be had.
Yep. More things to do.
Yes.
More places to go.
Yeah.
More people to meet.
Yeah.
Mercedes, for you as a single person, what
Yeah.
does a Sabbath day or half day or a Sabbath rest rhythm look like in your life?
Yeah, actually, as a single person, my Sabbath contains a lot of the same things that it sounds like you guys enjoy. Single people love their naps as well, and I'm not mad at a nap after church. I think you said it perfectly. Flexibility is key. It's something that I need to constantly be reminded of in order to be realistic about being able to take a Sabbath during the week. Because for me, in my busy schedule, that does not always look like a Sunday. That doesn't always look like a Saturday morning, you know? And I know that you've mentioned it before, that we're not strictly, tied to, having Sunday and a complete full day of doing nothing. And if you can use that time to rest, to reestablish time and relationships with your family, I think that's absolutely wonderful. But I need to be able to go into a week knowing that my Sabbath is actually going to be taking place on a Thursday afternoon, because that's when I get off early and I only have one job that day, or sometimes that can look like a Sunday if I don't have a house meeting or I don't plan on taking somebody to the airport. So
Let me put you on the spot.
Sure.
Do you do a Sabbath time every week?
probably not.
Do you
If I'm honest with
plan it
you.
at the beginning of the week? Like, do you look at your schedule and say, like you said, Thursday afternoon will work? Do you set it out ahead of time?
I don't think I consciously will pick up my phone and look at my calendar and decide at what point and what time
Okay.
during that week I'm going to have it. But I think subconsciously it's always something that maybe even my flesh desires, is to take that rest, is to take that time, whether I'm just looking forward to a nap, whether I'm looking forward to just watching my favorite TV show or hanging
Sure,
out with my
sure.
dog, whatever that is, or doing one of my favorite things and just being able to go to the beach, whether it's just me by myself and watching the sunset, or driving up Erringer and going up to Big Sky area and watching the sunset, whatever it is, making sure that I know throughout the week that there's different pockets of time that I can take in order to find my rest.
Good, good, very good. So what are the challenges? What kinds of things fight against taking a Sabbath time? Yeah, what are the challenges that fight you, that push back on taking that Sabbath time?
Well, if I'm honest with you, I think that being a young single woman, a lot of people could assume that taking a Sabbath would come easily to me. Being able to decide to do nothing would become more frequent than it actually is. But there's actually so much temptation and a lot of pressure even to attend every event, to be involved in every activity. There's always someone's birthday. There's always a random game night. There's always a movie night. And I live in a house with 4 other women that all love Jesus and want to open up our home and to fellowship constantly. And that's something that we've had to talk about, is how do we rein that back in? How do we plan and schedule these things? So yeah, it's absolutely something that we fight back against, is knowing that just because we have the availability or the freedom to do so doesn't mean that we need to fill up our schedule with so many events or even multiple events within a day.
Wow,
Yeah.
Good, good.
And I think for me, just having a house full of people and things, it's to reduce clutter, like actual things. Because when the house is full, it is so hard to rest there. I mean, when we've got papers.
Full of stuff, you mean,
Yeah,
not
stuff.
people,
Yeah,
but
no, we like
it's already
them.
full
we
of
want them
people.
to stay. No, but just to have counters cleaned off and drawers not filled with clothes spilling out and things like that. So to reduce the clutter, get it out, I can rest in my home when there's not things just staring at me everywhere. I think that really fights for women about resting, especially in their home, if the house is full of
So
stuff.
you're saying a good principle of doing Sabbath is getting rid of stuff.
Yes.
Not
Not
just-
just plans, but
Not just
stuff.
busyness, but actual physical
Our favorite
things.
Target toys sometimes need to go.
Wow, I think that we could
Yeah.
really unpack that for a while. We don't have
Yeah.
time to, but that's
Yeah, making space
Excellent.
not just white space, but making physical space.
Physical space. And you don't feel, you feel more airy, I would think, and more
Yes.
free in
Yeah.
that space.
Yeah, that's a big one for me, especially I think as a woman, but for my
Yeah.
children as well. I mean, we're not tripping over stuff or we're not shuffling it,
Right,
know,
right.
even on that day.
Sure, good. One final question. What suggestions would you give people if I'm assuming a lot of people do not do a Sabbath rest time. I just think it's part of our culture that we don't. So what suggestions would you give people to try to start doing a Sabbath time, whether it's a Sunday afternoon or a Thursday evening or some Sabbath time?
I think I would say to see it as a beautiful thing, that not as a punishment or like you can't do these things, but to see it as a gift from God, that He's asking us just to rest in Him, to trust Him, that He has it covered even that very week. He has all the things covered. And so to see it as a beautiful thing and as a gift,
Yeah.
I think how we view it will really shape if we do it or want to do it.
Yeah.
And then trusting God with it. Just saying, okay, God, I don't get this. I don't understand this. And frankly, I don't have time for this.
Right, right.
But you say this, and I trust you, and I believe you. And then just taking God at His word. I know that we had a thing happen a while back where we had some out-of-town friends, and we really wanted to get to see them. And it just didn't work out. They wanted to come over, wanted us to come over one night and all hang out. And I got home and I was just done. I just needed to spend some time, reconnect with my family. And so we just looked at each other and said, we can't tonight. Maybe next time you guys are in town. And that night just got to hang out, play catch with the boys in the yard, just hang out with my family, reconnect with my wife, and went to bed. And the next day, Shauna and I went to the beach on a date, and it was really neat because went down, an hour from our house, and lo and behold, right there on the beach were our friends. And we got to spend some time hanging out with them. And actually, it was really neat because then we got to talk to the fact that it was even a blessing for them because they were tired and worn out. And it just ended up being one of those moments where God was like, see, if you trust me, if you will take those times when you know it's been too much, kind of like Mercedes, what you were saying, just listen to your body and knowing when it's just like our bodies long for that. Just going, okay, and God will bless that, I believe.
So what you're saying is we can trust God. He is in control. He is sovereign. He has our best interest in mind. And when He designed Sabbath, He knew what He was doing.
Amen.
Can we say that?
Amen.
Amen.
I think so. Well, our time's up, and this has just been a lot of fun to talk with these guys about Sabbath, and I just hope you have been challenged and encouraged to start a Sabbath time in your weekly schedule. Thanks a lot.